We got the latest in regards to John Cena, and it's a bit disappointing. It looks like WWE just rushed Roman Reigns' next opponent, and we got a lot more to talk about. This is WrestleRound, bringing you today's top 5 wrestling news and rumors. Make sure to drop a like to show the love on these videos. We're so close to 3K, so subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's get into it. Let's talk the latest in regards to John Cena. Over the last couple of weeks, there were some rumors, which I did told you guys to take it with a grain of salt, indicating that John Cena was going to be returning towards the end of June, as he was going to be back for the rest of the summer. Well, in an update to all of this, a source told the Ringside News that the rumors of John Cena returning to WWE for another run already is not true. However, they did emphasize that John Cena is quote-unquote always on call for a WWE return in an emergency situation. So if WWE needs John Cena for a major feud, or they seems to be struggling with selling out major shows like Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, which is the next 2 major events, then Vince McMahon just gotta call him up and John Cena will show up. Hopefully that still turns out to be the case. Personally, I love when John Cena comes back. Like him or hate him, he always had that extra entertainment to the show, even if he is there for just 1 or 2 months, to then at the end lose to whoever it is that he is feuding against. I just feel like John Cena is somebody who does come back and he does the right thing, and he put over whoever he needs to put over right before leaving to Hollywood again. Let's talk some extra news. So LA Knight has been called up to the main roster, and he has been doing things during dark segments that only those in the arena are able to see it, and he's literally building a whole faction like this and getting the internet to talk about. WWE is not showcasing this anywhere. Previously, LA Knight added Mace of Retribution, who now goes by the name Face, I guess, or that is how LA Knight is calling him. And in another dark segment on this past week tapings of SmackDown, he ended up adding Mansoor to his faction, his quote-unquote new modeling firm, in which he said that he has been saving his money to make this firm a reality. Considering that he was talking trash to the audience, it definitely feels like he is going to be a heel on the main roster alongside the other members that are joining him. By the way, it certainly feels like WWE starting a lot of brand new faction as of late, huh? It's like they just started watching AEW from its first year, when there was a brand new faction getting built every single week. Hey, talking about AEW, unfortunately it looks like they're not going to be able to get Bret Hart to join the company and ultimately manage FTR. That obviously been a rumor for the last couple of months. This is something that is even going to be happening in one of the upcoming live events, where Bret Hart will be managing FTR. Based on recent report from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, though, they are indicating that the belief among people in AEW is that Bret the Hitman Hart quietly signed a lucrative deal with WWE. Of course, this is a Legends deal, and of course Bret Hart is still able to make his live event appearances for signing, but that means that we won't be able to see him on AEW television. A bit unfortunate. I did want to see Bret Hart manage FTR, especially right now when they are the hottest team in pro wrestling. Everything they do is gold right now. Every single match they're having is a 5 to 6 star matchup. If you have been on Twitter as of late, then you probably know that Jeff Hardy being part of a AEW Dark Elevation matchup has been a hot topic of discussion, as AEW has been criticized for basically doing the same thing that WWE was doing with Jeff Hardy, which is demoting him to their lowest possible show that they have on the weekly rotation. But in his podcast, Matt Hardy ended up explaining how the fans are just making a big deal out of all of this because it is not the same. He explained how they got to TV that week and AEW Dynamite and Rampage were both stacked up, and then Tony Khan said the following: "Well, I feel like we're giving them a Dynamite, and I want to give them all the stars that are here. I want to give them the best experience possible. Will you guys be okay moving this Rampage match so they see the Hardys, because Dynamite was already packed from beginning to end?" Matt Hardy went on to explain that ultimately the difference is that Tony Khan was respectful enough to ask him and Jeff if they wanted to do the match on Elevation or not, and he was basically okay if they didn't want to do it. But Matt Hardy says that we're wrestlers, so we are happy to do that. Plus, he indicated that him and Jeff want to be working with the younger talent, so this was an opportunity to do all of that, to work with Top 5, Private Party, and so on, and continue to establish them into great tag team. Now, obviously, this is a controversial topic. At the end of the day, I think it comes down to AEW having the same type of roster problem that WWE been having for quite a bit now, and that is that their roster is just too big with so much talent, and they just can't book everyone. And up next, we are talking about a massive SmackDown spoiler. This week's show was taped, and now we officially know who is going to be Roman Reigns' next opponent. If you want to avoid those spoilers, it's probably a good time to tune out of this video right now. And probably tune out of social media because obviously it's getting spoiled everywhere. According to those spoilers, it looks like we are going to be getting Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre at the Backlash pay-per-view. There was a smaller tease for that match on this past week of SmackDown when Sami Zayn told Roman Reigns that McIntyre has been talking trash about the bloodline with RK Bro. And during a segment on the taping of next week's SmackDown, Roman Reigns went out to the ring and ultimately ended up brawling it out with Drew McIntyre. There was no sight of Shinsuke Nakamura, so it looks like they're not doing Shinsuke versus Roman anymore, or at least not anytime soon. I'm excited for Drew versus Roman, but I'm also confused up to why they didn't start this 3 weeks ago on that SmackDown after WrestleMania. Why did they tease something else and then got to this out of nowhere? Feels like a last minute decision. Obviously, we knew Drew was going to be getting a title opportunity, but clearly a week and 2 weeks ago, WWE had no intention of doing it right now. It felt like they were waiting for either the Money in the Bank pay-per-view or even SummerSlam to kick all of that off. Anyways, that is all the latest wrestling news. For more coverage, turn on those notifications, and of course, make sure to drop a like on this video. Stay savage, and I'll catch you on the next one.